My name's Andronas. Good morning, everybody. I'm the Director of Andronas Conservation Architecture. This project has taken 10 years to be from go to woe. Natika Schmieder, as the Brimbank Heritage Advisor, has been the main thread from the very beginning. She's been following this project from the outset. In fact, she discovered the building. Simon Davies of Cider Construction has also been involved for a number of years. Sadly, two of our members, Bill Snoek, the conservator, and Gabriel Moylan, my friend and colleague of 28 years, has sadly passed away. We thank Brimbank Council and the Historical Society of Keilor for the opportunity to help them with this little gem, commonly known as the Keilor Police Hut. We have an 1850s cast iron or prefabricated building consisting of cast iron columns and corrugated galvanised iron. It was found on the Keilor Plains at Robertson's paddock and is historically and technologically important to the district of Keilor and to the state of Victoria. At the time when this was erected, it was still the colony of Victoria. The establishment of the police station at Keilor Plains occurred in the same year as the inauguration of the police service in January 1853. It appears that the building was relocated a number of times since then, and the last position that it was found was at the Robertson's paddock, and it was positioned there from around about 1940, 45. We know this because of the archaeology that was discovered there. In 2012, In 2012, Brimbank Council and Keilor Historical Society agreed to dismantle and re-erect the now dilapidated hut to the council-owned site at Harrick's Cottage, Keilor Park, and have necessary conservation works to ensure its preservation into the future. And you can see here it's been stripped of its additions, but the graffiti artists have got to it, and there's been sort of kick panels and indents and people sleeping in it, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but still potentially a risk for the place.
Excuse me, Arthur, is your presentation meant to be scrolling through? We still have the same front piece on, on our screen, yes.
Oh, I see.
I think you've progressed beyond that.
I have. I'm on my third slide.
Okay, that's not coming up on our screen.
I see. How do we fix that? I'm back on the first. Can you see that one?
Yes.
So this is now the third. Let me start again. First image. Second image.
No.
It's not moving.
Oh, right.
I think you need to click on your or move the slide bar on your presentation, or go to slideshow.
I might have to go to slideshow. I have gone to slideshow.
Oh, here we are.
Yep.
That's number 2 now, I think.
Number 3, yeah.
That's number 3. Okay, that's good.
I've gone back to the main. I'll go from that one. Can you see that? Sorry, I've just clicked the thing. It's gone to image number 3.
We can see number 3.
Can you see me scroll to the next slide? I'm now on number 4. Did you see the change?
No.
Oh goodness.
Might be just delayed. Now it's gone back to 1.
Okay, I've just gone back to 1.
Mm-hmm.
2.
2, yes.
Okay, I'll stick to this format.
Okay.
3.
Yes.
Okay. So now that I'm more winded, so what we have, as I said, this is basically a steel frame, a wrought iron frame rather, with cast iron columns and corrugated iron as basically the main stabilizing element and cladding system. Number 4, which is that. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. The archaeological survey was undertaken by Bill Snoek in 2013. We have archaeological findings of hand-cut nails, and these dated from around about 1840 to 1870. And the picture on the right, we have the toe of the cast iron column with the connection of the wrought iron angles at the bottom of the frame, which were embedded in the soil, basically corroding. The interior of the hut was somewhat like this. You can see the dilapidated interior, but there's also in the 1940s they put in a timber floor, which was basically sitting independent of the walls, and we believe that that's what was the case in the 1850s as well. So the floor was totally independent of the structure. In 2015, we were having the move, the great move. And though there were numbers already on some of the panels from the original move, each element was again renumbered, which created a little bit of a sort of a headache when we were trying to put up the re-erect it later on. And it was stored under basically a temporary shelter. You can see a little bit of the shelter sitting above there. And we found, this is when I came into it, when I first saw it like this, underneath a shed, and we had to try and pull it apart and trying to work out where the various pieces were. So we were commissioned to re-erect and undertake the conservation of the prefabricated building. It was workshopped with the whole team, the structural engineer, David Hogg, the Brimbank Heritage Advisor, Antika Schmieder, and at the time, Gabriel Moylan and the rest of the team here. And we tried to work out how best to re-erect it. And methodologies for each issue was prepared, and we flew that by Heritage Victoria. And these are the sort of sheets we developed to sort of establish how best to approach it. So we had the element, the materials, the issues, the approach that we're looking at, and the rationale behind the approach. And I think that was actually a very good way of workshopping and resolving and justifying the decision-making processes. And we did that for every element. This is the next page on, and there's a whole set, there's about 15 and 16 of these pages. We decided to create a concrete slab on which to sit the hut, basically because we're on unstable ground here. And if we were to try and put in posts to each of the columns, the fear was that we would have had a building which was going to be under stress in a very short period of time. We also, the engineer felt that we didn't have enough integrity in the building to allow it to stand and withstand wind loads and live loads as well. So a cranked steel beam system was established in part of the building. And so part of the building is actually acting as the stiff element, as a portal frame system, and part of it is as it was originally. I'll talk a little bit about that later. So you can see here that the cranked steel beam, we had plywood to also aid in that bracing, and the walls clearly also quite well stiffened in this section of the building. The wrought iron members and the cast iron members were isolated from the alkaline nature of the concrete slab with not only coatings of cold gal, in effect this is Zinga, which is a Swedish product imported specifically for the project, and there was we also applied that to the bottom of the galvanized iron sheeting, the original galvanized iron sheeting. The original galvanized iron sheeting had to be cut back because of the bottom ends being totally crumbly and basically no integrity at all. And so they fell short. And eventually we had to put in, we designed this, this Z flashing to allow the water to not only drain out from the building, because previously the corrugated iron fell inside the line of the wrought iron angle, and therefore water went internally rather than externally.
1 minute.
So, sorry?
1 minute.
Oh,
Sorry.
goodness. Okay. So exposed details like this in the concrete slab and the reuse of original timbers wherever possible. You can see here we replaced one with the new timbers, and new structural members at the top and in sort of bracing to identify that it is actually quite new. And the original, the angles of the ceilings that we did later on I'm now flustered again. So we divided the building into two sections. The section with for a new interpretation as part of an education system or role that the council felt they needed to have, and this was to house new exhibits and the exposed area, which leaks, and intentionally it leaks, so we didn't do any repairs on the roofs. Water flows out and underneath the flashings that we've created. So you have this two natures of the building internally, the finished and the unfinished. And the examples we used from the, there was remnant, I'm trying to find it. There's a remnant lining board which we found on site, which was limed, which is the basis from which we actually did this interpretation, I suppose you'd call it. So basically, this is the finished product, and we found a bit of 19th century graffiti on the outside. The end product, I think, is very satisfying and stable. And what is really exciting is that it's also now been nominated, included in the list for the Portable Buildings World Heritage nominations, which a number of us are trying to push ahead and recommending to the World Heritage UNESCO people.